Hello, dear friends. Here we are, the Medium's Harvest. Our opportunity to study more about mediumship under the light of Spiritism. The book Seara dos Médiuns was brought into us by the Spirit author Emmanuel through the loving and devoted hands of the Spirit of the medium Xavier. The book was written in 90 sessions in the year 1960, and it was published in 1961 as a tribute to 100 years of the publishing of the Medium's book by Kardec. The Medium's book by Kardec is a must when we would like to understand more about mediumship under the light of Spiritism, and it is also a must for those who would like to practice it. After all, as Kardec titled it, the Medium's book is the book of the mediums, subtitled or Manual for Mediums and Evokers. So, to be a Spiritist medium and have never heard or read the Medium's book is a sign that we're not exactly following through. So here we are. Emmanuel, when he writes the Medium's Harvest, we ask, what is the point? Because the superior spirits don't spend time sharing information that is just all the same, and it is not the same. Emmanuel is teaching us first and foremost to feel the scriptures as Jesus recommended to Nicodemus. But most of all, he's teaching us the practical guidelines that are brought into the Medium's book and how we can understand them in our daily life. Today, chapter 17 is about words, the word words, and it's based on chapter 1 item of chapter 14th of the Medium's book, titled Mediums. Specifically on item 166, we have speaking mediums. Item 166 of the Medium's book is about speaking mediums. And interesting enough, Allan Kardec is going to disclose the following. Let me read a little bit of it to all of us so we can piggyback on Allan Kardec and understand the unfolding of the thinking of Emmanuel. Chapter 14th of the Medium's book, item 166, Speaking Mediums. Kardec says, hearing mediums who only transmit what they hear are not actually speaking mediums, who most of the time do not hear anything at all. Did you know that? Speaking mediums, not necessarily they hear the spirits. It's what we call wrongly, but incorporation. It's just figuratively speaking. The spirit comes and speaks through me. It's not necessarily that I listen to the words or I hear it. I actually am the mouth that speaks. So the spirit thinks and speaks through me. I don't hear it beforehand. So this is beautiful, a distinction that Kardec's making, and many people probably don't know. With such mediums, spirits act upon their vocal organs. So it's good to know how the speaking mediums are being used. Like, it's as if the vocal cords are instrument, like da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. Some people say, I would love to play an instrument. Well, you have a beautiful instrument in your throat, your vocal cords. Oh, but that's different. No. Tonight we're gonna learn that in us, we all have a beautiful instrument, our vocal cords. And the question is, are we educating ourselves to use them wisely? And what is it to use our vocal cords wisely and play them with wisdom. So, with speaking mediums, spirits act upon their vocal cords just as they act upon... Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second, friends. I need to make sure that cardiac radio is working here. Hello? Sorry. One second, friends. Hello, hello. All right, let's go on. Spirits act upon their vocal organs just as they act upon the hands of writing mediums. In order to communicate, a spirit uses the most flexible organ it can find in a particular medium. From one, it borrows the hand, from another the vocal cords, and from a third the ears. In general, speaking mediums express themselves without any awareness of what they are saying, and they nearly always address subjects completely foreign to their customary ideas, outside their sphere of knowledge and even beyond the reach of their intelligence. Although they are perfectly awake and normal during the process, they rarely remember what they have said. In other words, the medium's voice is an instrument that the spirit uses, and through whom another person can talk with, as is the case with a hearing medium. Nevertheless, the speaking medium's passivity is not always so complete. There are those who have an intuition about what they are saying at the time they utter the words. We shall focus on this variety when we address intuitive mediums. Okay, we could discuss the whole night, this paragraph, but let us allow Emmanuel to break it down to us, shall we? Let us allow Emmanuel to develop this concept for us so we can understand more how it all works. All right? That's how we would like to work. So Emmanuel, on chapter 27 of the Medium's Harvest, okay, he says, on April 18th, 1960, when you dwell on the appreciation of the speaking medium, think of the wonders of expression, remembering that we're all mediums of the word. The vocal glottis can be compared to the living harp. Through its strings, the soul expresses the different hues of thought. And since, though thought is a creative wave that integrates itself with other waves in harmony, thus our speech invariably reflects the moral class to which we belong. In this manner, the word, a magnetic vehicle for thought, is always an inductive factor, origin of all accomplishments and achievements. With the word, we spread good works, enlighten hope, strengthen faith, sustain peace. We feed vice, or we nurture delinquency. This so happens because in reality, we never speak alone. Instead, we portray the influences of the shadow or of the light that constantly circulate within our mental sphere. Every time we talk, our mouth resembles a loudspeaker, projecting towards others not only the result of our interpretation or our knowledge, but also the ideas and suggestions that are given to us by the incarnate and discarnate individuals with which we are in tune. Do not despise, therefore, the gift of speaking that facilitates communion with other beings. Instead, guard this gift in the light of respect, of justice, of goodness, and of understanding, without forgetting that attitude is the invisible lever of connection. Pessimism is the open door to discouragement. Sarcasm is the broad pathway to discredit. Anger is the trigger to violence. Sourness is the climate of disease, and irritation is the leaven of madness. Thus, though darkness and thorns may stretch alongside, let us govern our emotions and utter the word that instructs, comforts, helps, and sanctifies. Wherever you may be, even if the provocation of evil instigates you to disorder, coercing you to condemn and to harm, bless life instead. The word vibrates in the foundation of all the evil and all the good of the world. In speaking, the teacher hoists the mentee's minds to the summit of education, and in speaking, the evildoer throws the companions in the pitfalls of crime. Socrates spoke, and the philosophical view was changed. Jesus spoke, and the gospel emerged. Words are the plasma of intelligence, thread of inspiration, oil of work, and the basis of writing. We're all mediators, says Emmanuel. Mediators of those who admire and of those to whom we listen. Therefore, let us learn to silence every phrase that condemns or destroys, because according to the law of the good promulgated by God, every word that obscures or dishonors is a false coin in the treasure of the heart. So it's interesting to observe how Emmanuel unfolds one paragraph about speaking mediumship from the book, The Medium's Book by Kardec. There, Kardec explains to us that speaking mediums so become because the spirits use their vocal cords as an instrument to speak to the world. Then Emmanuel brings to us the unfoldment of it all. So the first question for us tonight is, 1. How are we using our verbal ability, our vocal cords? If we could statistically analyze ourselves, column, good and evil. Have we been using our instrument, the vocal cords? Hold on a second, friends. Looks like it is what it is. So, are we using our vocal cords to construct or to destroy? Recently, talking to some people, I've got to know of confusion that happened in a particular location due to communication, words. If you see nowadays the problems we have in the world, political, etc., of course it's due to actions, but actions that begin with words, right? Check our Twitter and we'll know what we're talking about. How people are using their speaking abilities to undermine others, to be above others, to badmouth, instead of elevating instead of playing the vocal cords, the music of the divinity. So, Emmanuel begins by saying, when you dwell on the appreciation of the speaking medium, think of the wonders of expression, remembering that we're all mediums of the word. How many people, they come to see mediums because you're speaking mediums, they can give readings, right? And people are like in awe, like, oh, wow. But Emmanuel is saying, you're also mediums of the word. And when we read André Luiz's books, we see clear-cut how often we may be the spokesperson of other minds without noticing. So this is question number 2. How often do we actually are aware that we are the spokesperson of other minds, incarnated, discarnated? How often? How often? Most often we don't say. We don't know. So the music, as Carol Correa is saying, of divinity, good food for the soul, the loving power of the word. Exactly, Carol. Words as magnets for thought. They become inductive factors. Okay, pause for a second. This is the year 1960. But in 1958, André Luiz wrote a book, 2 books, Evolution into Worlds and Mechanisms of Mediumship, telling us about this very expression, words as inductive factor. And he talks about a list of inductive factors. Now we need to put a pause and study what it is. What are inductive factors? Factors that induce us to think about something. So for example, if I use my hand and wave, I'm sending a message. So it becomes an inductive factor of greeting, for example. And then you start waving back. Right? So André Luiz is going to say a book can be an inductive factor. The word, conversations, objects, nature, anything that triggers a thought. So our words become triggers for incarnates and discarnates, and vice versa. So he says to us, we have here an instrument. So today, everybody who is watching this together, and we're here together, rest assured, never say again, I would like to play an instrument. You already have an instrument inside of you, your vocal cords. I do too. So don't claim that you'd like to play an instrument because you already play. And I do play too. The question is, third question, do we play this instrument with consciousness? Most often than not, no. Do I play it with wisdom on earth? Most often than not, no. But can I? And we would answer, you should. Not only you can, but we should. And it's actually a must. We need to go to the school of the vocal instrument to play it wisely. No, I don't know either. I should learn better too. All of us. So he says, thought sends waves And it's through our speech that we're going to reflect who we truly are. Our moral category, he says. Now go to the Spirit's book by Kardec, question 100 onwards, Hierarchy of Spirits. We're going to learn that the good spirits, they know how to use their words wisely. So be always positive, peacemaking, though real. Like Jesus, for example. He's our guide and model. Let's observe how he used his words. He was not Pollyanna. And I say this kindly. I love the name Pollyanna, but I meant the book, the story on the La La Land. No, that's not about that. Because Jesus did not share the good news with us by being fake news, like, oh, we're so loved by God, the problems don't exist, don't worry. Jesus didn't say that. He said, blessed are the afflicted. Blessed are the afflicted. Blessed are the pure of the heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. And so on and so forth. Blessed are the afflicted. It sounds almost like a contradiction. Like, what? It's a masochistic statement? No. This is the good news. That you're suffering today because we're reaping the past. But we better watch out. Because depending on what we're sowing today, we're going to reap tomorrow. So, am I being a peacemaker? Am I being constructive? So André Luiz, in the book again, he says that through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, we can take only two directions. Constructive mental currents, destructive mental currents. Through psychoanalysis, we observed Freud's talking about two impulses in life. The impulse of death, the force of life. So when I play the vocal cords, am I creating life or am I creating death? Because there is no in between. Life or death. Jesus said, blessed are the afflicted. But he also was real to his disciples. He said, don't be deceived by appearances, because today people are applauding me, but tomorrow they're going to crucify me. And Peter is like, Master, are you crazy? How will God ever do this to you? And then he said, using his words, Peter, shut up, because right now you're being the spokesperson of evil. Really? And Peter was like, oh my gosh, and he was hurt. Says Humberto de Campos in the book Good News, through Chico Xavier. Peter was hurt, like, the whole day, like, how come the master is saying this to me? The spokesperson. Why? To incite doubt and lack of unity is the spokesperson of evil. By what Peter was saying, he was doubting the master. And we need to learn something in teamwork. Trust. Without trust, we cannot. Mutual trust, we cannot progress. When you pray, do you trust God? Do you express your trust to the point that you love God? The other day, Mentor Joseph was saying a prayer in the Spirit Center of Virginia. And it was so interesting because he even said, I love you, God, in the prayer. And I was kind of amazed by his expression of love to God, because I never thought, it never occurred to me that I could even express my feelings for God to him in that way, saying, God, I love you. We're to other people, but not to God. And it's funny, when we're saying those words, I love you, we feel God closer to us. Try it. God, I love you. Does it feel awkward? Of course, because we humanized that expression so much that when we bring it back to its true meaning, it feels awkward. But it's not supposed to be awkward. It's supposed to be natural. God, I trust in you. I love you. I love you. I love you, God. Not because God needs our words, but we need to feel what we have inside of us. Put in words. I'm talking about the expression I love you, because when we talk about words, we're talking about what's happening in our days, in our society. Power of words. If on one hand, people are overestimating it, on the other hand, many are underestimating by using it sarcastically. And that's when Emmanuel says to us that when we are sarcastic, he says, we're actually creating, let me get to the very point here. Sarcasm is the broad pathway to describe it. Why? It's the sarcasmo é o corredor rasgado para a invasão do... I read it in Portuguese for those who are watching us and understand it as well, so we can visualize it and help the whole community feel it in English. So he says here, so words nowadays are being so misused, mistreated the power of words, that we're often sarcastic and we think it's natural, but actually inside of it we're creating a pathway, the invasion of discredit. No wonder people who are sarcastic, they don't believe in what people say, because they don't mean what they are saying most often. Often they say words that they don't mean. So when people mean it, they don't believe. And relationships deteriorate because we're not meaning the words that we're speaking. Sarcasm is so funny. You ask the person, have you done this? And you're just simply asking a question. And the person's like, do you think I wouldn't? Do you think I am blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, it's sour. Like, oh yeah, I love this. I'm like, why not simplifying the communication? Being simple. Blessed are the simple, says Jesus. I reply, imagine Jesus, the governor. What about Caesar asking us to pay taxes? Talking about taxes. And then, imagine if he were sarcastic, if he had been, and he replied something sarcastically. It's hard for me to put together sarcastic statements because I have kind of an aversion for them. But imagine Jesus being sarcastic instead of being compassionate and saying, give Caesar what is Caesar's, and God what is God's. He's the governor of the planet. He could have downplayed the need of respecting human authorities, but he didn't. And we shouldn't dare to do it. Jesus is teaching us. Simple words are more soothing. They are sweeter than sarcastic statements. What else he outlines here to us? Pessimism, open door to discouragement. Oh, this is not gonna work. Oh no, it's not gonna work. It's too hard. You know, people like this, that's too hard. It's not gonna work. Da-da-dee, da-da-da. Pessimism. Anger, trigger violence. Sourness, climate of disease. You know, grumpiness. Like, how is your day? Why you're asking me? Sour. Tell me a little bit about this. Don't even ask. And I'm like, why this sourness? And he's saying it's going to create diseases. Why? Because we're not using the vocal cords for the flow of life. We're blocking it with our sourness, with our pessimism. And we're bringing what? The mud of lethal forces, fatal ones, death. And death not of the physical body, but of the feelings of the mind. Like psychology explains to us. Irritation, the living of madness. That's so interesting. Irritation. We're so irritated, then we go crazy. Of course, like, don't even talk to me about this. The person's going crazy. Remember the Aurelia and her mother, Fulvia, in the book 2,000 Years Ago by Emmanuel? Fulvia is married to Publius Lentulus' uncle. She's a patrician woman, and Fulvia is constantly intolerant, arrogant, and she's constantly irritated by things. And at the end of her life, she becomes mentally ill, a mad person. Emmanuel, in that novel, is giving us an example of what he's saying here. Irritation gives boost to mental illness. Visualize ourselves now as flames, spiritual flames. What would be the color of ourselves in that spiritual vibration when we are irritated? Can you visualize the texture of those flames? Ourselves as a flame. Imagine if I am irritated. The flame. It would be spiky, maybe, and sharp, painful, and I don't know the color, maybe irritated, like dark orangey, maybe. What about sarcasm? Somebody who is being sarcastic. It feels like a file, nail file, like rough, bumpy, and the color like grayish, and the odor, I don't know the name of the odor, but it doesn't smell good either, because Kardec talks about the fact that we create spiritual fluids according to our emotions, thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. Thought forms that have particular characteristics. It's in the book Genesis by Allan Kardec. So here Emmanuel is being quite explicit, saying that every time we talk, our mouth, and he says every time, not like once in a while, sometimes, maybe every time we talk, our mouth resembles a loudspeaker projecting towards others not only the result of our interpretation of our knowledge, but the ideas and suggestions of incarnates and discarnates that are connected to us. So we better watch out. We better not cry. Na 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 na, I'm telling you why Santa Claus is coming to town. No, it's not about that. It's not Christmas, but we're talking about every time we speak. Every time we speak. So, question number 4. Who is speaking through us when we're speaking? Ask this question. You know, sometimes as a medium I observe people are coming and I feel the urges as a speaking medium to talk about particular things. And the spirit mentor says, be careful, Vanessa. Watch out what you're speaking, because you're being the spokesperson of the companions of the person. And sometimes we're speaking what they don't want to listen. Not because it's good, it's bad. Or speaking of the giving, you know, sometimes people are masochists or sadistic, and if we don't watch out, we may become the spokesperson of the people who are surrounding them. But in our Spiritist movement, now we're tailoring here this conversation to the Spiritist movement. What is the saddest thing is when people get together to badmouth about somebody else. And not because they did something wrong, but because we think they did something wrong. There is a distinction. One thing is to say, that person killed that person. And the other is to say, I think that person killed somebody else. If you don't know, don't say it. Oh, but I've heard. Don't say it. And there are people who are creating dissensions, resistances, and creating a field of mud for them. Sooner or later, will be muddy for the use of word. When we compare ourselves to animals, in the animal kingdom, a major distinction is continuous thinking and the possibility of speaking that continuous thought in intelligible words that makes us even understand the other kingdoms. Yes, animals have their language, but they don't have continuous thought. Their consciousness is not at the human level yet. They're not able to understand the higher kingdom. So for us here, word is responsibility. As says André Lewis in the book Evolution into Two Worlds. He says the birth of responsibility begins when we realize the consequences of our actions. So we really need to ponder the power of our words. You have an instrument daily. You're going to play it? Is it going to soothe the souls? Encourage people? Enlighten, bring happiness? Or is it going to bring pessimism, discouragement, disheartening people, bringing them apart? It's our choice. We're all mediators of those whom we admire and of those whom we listen. Let us learn to silence every phrase that condemns or destroys. Because according to the law of the good promulgated by God, every word that obscures or dishonors is false coin in the treasure of the heart. And what is the problem when we have a false coin in the treasure of our hearts? It means that we are delivering fake news, creating a reaction to our actions in the near and far future, and we're also eluded with the possibility of the power of our words, but at the end of the day, it's a false power. That's why he uses the word treasure. Lots of thoughts to be thought about, food for thought, meditating. So from now on, we have instruments in here, our vocal cords. Let us play it with wisdom, because according to many reincarnations, we have been using it in the wrong direction. So we need to bless it. Say, God, a good affirmation. Put your hand in your throat and say, God, thank you for these beautiful vocal cords that allow me to communicate and share your love. May today I use these vocal cords wisely and spread your love without impediments. Free flow of love through the vocal cords. Blessing it, blessing it, blessing it, blessing it. Okay, that's an exercise for us. Right, Cesa. Thank you. Hello, Ellen Cortez. How are you? And Célio, how are you? And the beautiful wife, Célia Lancaster, how are you? Paula Andrade, Carol Smith, Adilson, John De Rosa, how are you? Nora Brazil, how are you? Paula, beautiful Paula, how are you? Patrícia Guiri Cardoso, how are you? Nina Dewey, La Souza, you're here with us. Raquel Bakeshi, Sunshine. How are you, Sunshine? You're starting the studies now? Tell us about it, okay? Rihanna, beautiful Rihanna, how are you? And Cynthia Peoples, how are you? Beautiful Lea Severo, how are you? Andrea Torres, how are you? Yes, friends, thank you, Paula. The message today is powerful. Chapter 27 of the Medium's Harvest telling us, speaking mediums begin by using wisely the vocal cords, but you also have that instrument. So from now on, we have a duty. Homework for us, bless your instrument every day, your vocal cords. Let us do it together and consciously use it to play the drums of the heart and the songs of love, true love, beginning by saying, I love you, God. I love you. I love you. Right? Beautiful La Souza. Your 12-year-old is studying with us. A beautiful hug. We love the preteens because they are the hope of the world. A big kiss to you. You have beautiful vocal cords. I hope you use it beautifully to help many people in your house, in your friends' circle, everywhere you go. Okay? Tomorrow, talking about it, using it wisely. Emmanuel is a wonderful educator. Next chapter, he titles it, Let Us Work. Who is ready to work? Not work for money. We're talking about service, which is even above because it's priceless. We're talking by immortal salary. Have you heard about this? immortal salary. A big hug to you, Andre. Big hug, huh? Big hug, my friend. I hope to meet you next July 2018 here in Washington, because we're gonna coordinate Kardec Radio, the first international meeting of the Spiritist youth. It has never been, it never happened. It's gonna be the first time in DC. You're invited to come and join us, okay? Let us work. Emmanuel tomorrow is going to bring us lots of things, and you may be thinking, what is he gonna tell us? You want a teaser? I'm gonna give you a teaser. Ready? The Divine Master awaits our becoming an instrument able to assist in his work. Let us purify our emotions so that we may feel him. Let us educate our speech so that we may utter Jesus' words. Mamma mia, who is ready to work? Come back tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful work, sweating together. Right, La Souza and Andre? Right, friends? Yes, Sunshine is saying it was a one-time presentation today. We'll let you know about future. Yes, friend, don't stop, okay? Keep it up. Thank you, Carol Correa. You're together with us on this. The International Spiritist Meeting for Youth is coming up on July 7th and 8th in Washington, D.C. More information in January of year 2018. For now, let us play the strings of our vocal cords and sing the songs of love, right? Sing, sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad. Sing of happy, not sad. Right, friends? Tia Abby, beijo. And until tomorrow, God willing, thank you so much, friends.